Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Friday, folks. Thank goodness it's Friday. We got JC. We'll have Edgar Thompson. We'll talk whatever you want to talk today. Before we get into that, don't forget Florida Victorious, who sponsored our program now, they're doing the vegetable giveaway, or not a giveaway, where you buy a basket of vegetables, fresh vegetables, homegrown here close to Gainesville, and you can donate them to the food bank, or you can go pick them up at Celebration Point. The entire team will be participating in giving that away. And also Spurrier's 3-year anniversary, August 12th, there at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Good morning, JC. You're on the Titan Highline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Are you excited for the Olympics? Doesn't it start today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's underway. I think they had the opening ceremony. I may have missed it. I just may have. I think I did, actually. But I heard some bad news about some arson on a train that was bringing in hundreds and thousands of people. So that's not a good start to everything. But the Olympics are great. Yeah, I'll probably end up watching the 3M golf event this weekend on TV. And baseball. That's probably how it's going to go for JC. Olympics are great. Hope we win. Go America. But QB, I gotta start off, and you probably will, hopefully, ease my concerns. But I have some concerns after what I read this morning, which was somewhat alarming to me. And I'm not, as you know, a recruit guy. I don't look at recruiting. You've got Graham Hall, who's best in the business doing that, and I'm grateful and I'm glad, and he could certainly give us and educate us on the recruiting. But I was reading on The Athletic that right now Florida is having some issues with the 2025 class, in that they currently rank 15th in the SEC, only ahead of Vanderbilt, and I
don't think that's right anymore. Was it when Vernell Brown?
This was after. Well, it adds. Vernell Brown came in, but this guy was writing this article just last night, and Brown had already signed. But the class is ranking 57th nationally, and right now they've only got something like 10 commits. All right, so that's not a big number. You look at some of these other schools. Miami has climbed into the top 10. Tennessee has doubled their number from 8 to 16. So it's just something that, again, I don't lose sleep over recruiting, because
Well, then why'd you bring it up?
Well, because I know we have a lot of people. No, it's a good point. I don't talk about it, but we have a lot of people that do follow it and are interested in it. And that is kind of alarming to see that Florida right now is ranked currently, even though it is July the 20 whatever.
Yeah, and none of that means anything. Not one kid that's committed to any school is guaranteed to go to that school. So and like I said, I say it every day on this show, I don't give a damn about 2025, 2026, 27, 28, 29, 2040. All I care about is this year. That's all that matters.
It's true. I'm just thinking of the overall health of what's going on here. And look,
we've been highly ranked in certain years, and it didn't pan out.
No, 24. So you're right.
I could care less.
Okay. Well,
Anya Ron says the recruits are waiting to see how the Gators do on the field, which is probably true. Like I said, I could care less about recruiting, because I think now majority of the teams that are being built are coming from the portal.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that's fine. And I do recall 24 being a pretty explosive year recruiting wise. And, we saw what happened to that class, as you said correctly, toward the cycle. And a lot of guys didn't.
They did, but you still got the number one quarterback in America, and you got the number one defensive player in America. So
Yeah, that's good.
You can't get everybody. You can only get 25 guys.
Yeah.
And so
this is a nothing burger is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, they can argue and complain about it. That's their right.
Well, no,
and
it's just
they can be upset.
Yeah.
But again, would you rather lose games this year and be in the top 10 in recruiting for 2025 when you still don't know if those kids are going to come?
No.
I got to win games this year. That's all that matters. All that matters.
That's right. No, okay. Yeah, good. I'm on board with that. I agree with it. That's why I guess it was just, I was surprised to hear these numbers from this guy who writes about it, thinking that, God, they're only ahead of Vanderbilt in 2025. But as you correctly said, and I this is why it's not like I'm not ready to jump off the roof. This is too early to be concerned, but it is an article and it is being read.
Well, because people got to write and get clicks.
Right.
And of course, you're going to have the negativeness program and other shows that have something to complain about. As I mentioned the other day, everybody was all worried about Vernell Brown III. We got him.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
I'm not complaining, QB. I'm just, the thing is,
I know you're not. I'm just saying
negative recruiting.
Most people that follow whatever team, and especially the Gators, because we've been losing, they want to complain about something. And they would have a lot to complain about. And it would be all over the internet, every podcast, every Twitter, if Vernell Brown had chosen Florida State, Miami, or Ohio State.
No, I get it. Well, I mean, but again, like you said, that's just a verbal commitment. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. I'm not. This is what you said is right, and this is the truth. They will negative recruit against Billy Napier, but if he goes out and beats Miss Miami, he then beats Samford, and he beats A&M, and they're 3-0. All of that is beyond the curtain. That doesn't mean a hoot, but it has to happen. We need that to happen. So you're right. That's what we should be concerned about, and I am. And I'm reading about these games and teams, but it's just reading material. It's nothing else. I did see last night, QB, we had a no-hitter from my man Dylan Cease of the San Diego Padres. The second no-hitter.
Did you know about this guy before yesterday?
No, but I do like the Padres, and they have won 5 straight. They're 7 behind the Dodgers. They are in the middle of the wild card race. They are right there in the National League. If the playoffs ended today, they would be in the wild card. If the playoffs started today, rather, they would be in the wild card. But this guy threw a no-hitter against the Nats, had 9 strikeouts in Washington, and this was yesterday afternoon, and he becomes the second Padre. Think about this. Only 2 San Diego Padres, only 2 in the franchise's history have thrown no-hitters.
Who was the other? Raleigh Fingers?
No, it was Joe Musgrove. Raleigh Fingers was the relief pitcher.
Reliever, I know.
Joe Musgrove was the first one in 2021. He did it against Texas. And now we have good for them.
JC, let me ask you a question.
I'm happy
Could you name anybody that plays for the Padres right now?
Yeah, Jake Cronenworth. You got Fernando Tatis. You got Manny Machado.
That's the only guy I would know is Fernando Tatis Jr.
You've heard of Manny Machado. You have.
He's still there?
Yeah, he's their cleanup.
I thought he played somewhere else. I thought he was with the Dodgers.
Oh, he hits 4th in their lineup, QB. Your baseball is very bad.
Well, I don't start watching it until it really matters.
Yeah, I understand, but it is summertime. Xander Bogaerts plays there. He's the second base. Yeah, he played for the Red Sox.
Red Sox.
And they've got, of course, I mentioned Musgrove, and they're a team that the owner he spends money. It's a small to medium market team, but the owner spends money. It is a great city to watch baseball in because it never rains, and they put 30 to 40,000 fans in that downtown ballpark every home game. They got a good farm, a good base. It's the only pro team in the city of San Diego, which is kind of surprising, but that is the truth. It's the only pro team. So I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up because this kid threw a no-hitter, struck out 9 yesterday afternoon. So I thought that was noteworthy because here we are in the dog days of summer, QB. Every single day after 2:00, we get pounded by rain in Gainesville,
Let's
Florida.
hope not today.
Rainsville, Florida. You're going to do cart path only, QB? Is that how you play? Are you going to go walk the course today? Is that what you're going to do?
No. Why would we be on cart path only?
Because it's rained 4 days in a row. The course is soaked.
Well, it's not my fault. all your course can't
Are you
drain.
playing here today?
No.
Well, so
Why would I play there?
Well,
Why
they're
would I
gonna
play?
they're gonna let you drive golf carts over at the U.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up, because I always like to talk facilities and stuff. I don't know if people saw this, but there's a Division III program in Wisconsin, and I don't know how to pronounce it. EAU Claire. How do you pronounce that? Eau Claire?
Eau Claire.
Wisconsin Eau Claire.
Yes.
Are building the largest indoor facility in college football, and they are spending $110 million. Division III.
Could Warren Buffett go there and just give
I don't know.
Who the hell is giving that school that kind of money in Division III? That is, are you sure about that, QB? I'm
100% sure about that.
100% sure about
It'll be the largest indoor in America. It's gonna be 140 yards long, 70 yards wide, and 83-foot ceilings.
Yeah, well,
110 mil.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, in Wisconsin, it makes sense. I mean, that is a tough environment during the football season, except in September. But yeah, okay, cool. Well, everybody I know in the Big Ten, and I know Wisconsin Eau Claire is not in the Big Ten, but everybody in that part of the country is just dying for an SEC team to be seeded to have to play a game in December up in one of those stadiums. But we'll see.
Kanye Ron says, I think we're 50-ish now because we aren't offering several 3-stars. We could probably have 20 plus committed recruits right now. We are waiting on 4 or 5-star recruits are waiting to see UF play, which
that's
probably
right.
True.
Yeah, no, it is.
Kevin says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, about increasing the scholarships to 105. They're devaluing the scholarship, want to even the playing field, reduce the number of scholarships and put a cap on the NIL. If you want to be like the NFL, have a 53-man roster and put a cap on the NIL. All right, I'm gonna touch on that. I initially was all for the 53-man rosters like the NFL and have your walk-ons. The problem with that is in the NFL, if JC is one of those 53 guys, me and JC, and we both play wide receiver, and he has an ankle, I have a hamstring, and I'm out for 2 weeks, the National Football League can go to the waiver wire and pick somebody up. You wouldn't be able to do that in college football if they limited. So that's why they got to keep at least 80. I don't know why they need 105 scholarships. I really don't.
Well, QB, that used to be the way it was. In fact, it was a lot more than that back in the good old days.
When?
In the 70s, Alabama would roll out 200 players on the sideline. I mean, they had players coming in.
Well, that doesn't mean they were all on scholarship. There's still a bunch of walk-ons.
That's probably true. But the scholarship numbers, there used to be a lot of complaining about the 85 number, saying that it wasn't enough. So
I don't agree with that. I think it's plenty.
Think about this. We're going to have an eventual national. Think about this. Honestly, we're going to have an eventual national champion play 17 games. That is a lot of football for 20. It is. For 20. I mean, it's just a lot.
For a 20-year-old, JC, give me a break.
No, you don't think so? I think the pros have problems staying healthy throughout the 17-game schedule. What about these college kids?
Well, no, it's part of the game. I mean,
okay, great.
I have no problem with them. And don't give me the nonsense about the season's too long, academics. Nobody gives 2 craps about GPAs and graduating anymore. Not one word is ever mentioned about that.
But I'm the guy who's cheering the games in December. I'm the guy who said the lower divisions of football always play in December, and we're the guys in Division I or FBS that cancel football after the first weekend in December. Now that's not the case, but it used to be the case. But we're now going to play every weekend through basically December, including.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, sure. But I think adding depth to your roster and having more.
But JC, again, let me tell you this. Okay, for the last 15, 20 years, I'm assuming there's been 85 scholarships. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know on an average? Well, first of all, you can only dress 70 for your conference games. Okay, 70. Do you know how many of those 70 actually play one play in a game?
I would say a lot less than.
It's about 35.
Yeah, I was going to say 40. Yeah.
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 I mean,
well, no,
there's about 30.
I mean,
There's about 30 to 35 guys that dress out.
Yeah.
That do not do anything.
Well,
they're your back. They're the backups to the backups to the backups.
Yeah.
Just in case they may play, but I don't understand why you need. You have to have them for practice and stuff like that. But they do. I don't know why they got to increase the scholarships in football. All right, Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law. Billy has shown he can recruit and we can trust him there. Now he's got to show he can win. Agree.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to show.
He's done a phenomenal job recruiting.
Right. Well, okay. So I mean, I'm not judging one way or the other. I just didn't expect to see Florida ranked with the Florida standards the way they are, 15th in the league in 2025.
Yeah, but like I said, it doesn't matter now. I guarantee they'll be in the top 5 if they win games. Buck says they're getting paid to play those 17 games, so who cares?
Well, they are now. When that judge approves the $20 million that everybody's got to fork out, yeah. Is it 20 million? I don't know. There's some crazy number out there. I should know this, but yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. But listen, this is the way it is. I mean, we can bellyache about this. It's just like you talking about recruiting. You can talk about it and bellyache or not. When we talk about kids being paid, we can talk about it and bellyache or not. I'm more interested in what's going to happen Saturdays. And, the first weekend in football is so great because of the Labor Day weekend. Week 0 is okay, fine. And by the way, watch out Florida State, because Brent Key and Georgia Tech is not a pushover game. It'll be a lot closer than last year's Notre Dame Navy game over there in Ireland. And this Georgia Tech Florida State game has the makings of what I think could be a very interesting game.
The semis better look out because they're pretty good on offense with the kid Haynes King that played at
they got a couple of
A&M
on offense at Georgia Tech. And again, Brent Key's done a great job replacing Jeff Collins. And I think he won 7 games last year, including their bowl game, Georgia Tech. So this is going to be a fun, week 0. That's the big game in week 0. But then we get to week 1 finally, and the Labor Day weekend is when it all gets going on August 30th.
Week 1 should be week 2 since there are games being played in week 0. Makes no sense. Right. Certified Painters of Gainesville is the area's leader in painting excellence and proud partner of the Florida Gators, offering professional painting services for homes and businesses, plus cabinet refinishing and carpentry repairs. Visit CertaPro.com for a free estimate. Okay, JC, we're going to have Edgar. We're going to talk about Gator football practice that starts next week. Somebody asked me a question.
Will you please ask Edgar about that statistic for the 2025 recruiting, and if he thinks anything about it, because I know you don't, and
he doesn't follow recruiting.
Well, he follows Florida football. And
but some guys that's what they do on the beat. He is not a recruiting guy. I do know that. I'll ask him though. So,
well, if you forget, I'll just chime in as somebody.
You can send a text on the Titan Mark.
I will send a text on the Titan. Yes.
Speaking of that,
I'll involve myself in the live chat. Love it. J&J Trucking, Kanye Ron, Low Bottom Sports, all these great viewers of ours. Michael Fiorelli, Kanye Ron, Russ.
They all love you, JC. They all love
you. I love them too. Good guys.
Yes.
Because they're consistent viewers. They love watching us.
Frank on the Titan Mark text line says the Gators start fall camp next week. Will you be attending any of the practices? If I'm in town and I don't have anything going on, I may swing by there.
You might go too.
You just can't. I mean, all I like to do is I like to watch routes on air and 7-on-7, and that's it.
By the way, the Merritt Island Mustangs rolled into the Sonny's Barbecue on Waldo Road yesterday, and I'm sure it was their 7-on-7 group because they basically ate out the kitchen. And there was about 10 of them there. So are they doing 7-on-7s now or something like that?
Well, you would need more than 10 if you were going to play 7-on-7, JC. Yeah. You think that was like a baseball team maybe?
They didn't look like baseball players to me. They looked like the Merritt Island Mustangs.
I don't know. I don't know what they would be doing because there are no colleges can have camps right now.
Maybe it was a stop on. It could have been a stop on the road to Georgia. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Waldo Road, first Sonny's ever. That's it. The 60s.
You were there on Waldo Road eating?
I was there yesterday because my client is the University Air Center, it's airport.
Oh, okay.
And I had the trustee with me and some other folks, and we had a big old lunch at Sonny's. and here come the Merritt Island Mustangs, and it took our waitress. They sat in our corner. So luckily we had gotten our order in, or we would have waited for a half an hour because she had to handle all of those dudes. And, that was the first Sonny's restaurant of all time in existence ever. Sonny Tillman started it, and then he opened one in Alachua. Then he opened one, I think, on 13th Street. That didn't do as well, but the one on Waldo Road is still there today, and it basically is the same building. Yeah.
All right. So Dan says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, UF versus Miami is the highest priced opening weekend game for tickets. It says starting just to get in the ballpark is $176.
Oh, God. Well,
Georgia, who is playing Clemson, is $150. Listen to what Ole Miss and State prices are just to get in the ballpark. $8 for the Black Bears, $5 for Old Bully. Get in there and ring your cowbell. Who are they playing?
That's awesome. I'll tell you here in a minute. That is the one thing Mississippi State.
So you can go get hammered. You can just drive up to Oxford, get hammered at the Grove, and you might get in for free, actually.
Mississippi State opens with Eastern Kentucky. Who are they called?
Oh, the Colonels.
They're the Colonels? All right, Colonels, that sounds about right.
I still have never figured out why it's called Colonels when there's no R in it.
There's the L. And then the Colonels. And then the Black Bears start with, how about this schedule for Lane Kiffin? He opens up with the Furman Paladins. Okay, so the Grove's going to be thriving with Furman fans there. Then come the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee. They have a wretched road game at Wake. Come home with Georgia Southern. So let me get this straight. You buy season tickets at Mississippi. You're all excited about the Grove. You're all thrilled about Oklahoma coming in and Georgia coming in. And I guess Mississippi State coming in. But to start the year, you got Furman, Middle Tennessee, and Georgia freaking Southern. I mean, they'll be 5-0 going in or getting ready for – they'll play Kentucky. Somehow the Kentucky game in September 28th is their homecoming game, even though they play 4 of their first 5 games at home. And I know you tell me all the time it has nothing to do with that, JC, blah, blah. But it is called homecoming. And then, they start with they then have a road game at South Carolina, followed by LSU. It's a very, very.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Compare that.
It's terrible. The Gator fans would probably prefer to have that schedule.
I think a lot of folks probably would. Yeah.
JC, somebody asked me yesterday. I was out of town, and they were talking about the 12-team playoff, and they were saying, okay, let's just say there's 4 SEC teams that are probably going to get in. So you got 2 teams playing in the SEC title game, right? And probably 2 guys looking on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If say for example, let's say Texas and let's say Alabama are playing.
I know what you're going to say here.
Okay, so let's say Alabama is there and they're 10-1 or maybe 9-2. So they're locked into the playoffs, right?
And then they lose to Texas.
No.
Okay.
What are the chances of Jalen Milroe or whoever your star tailback is sitting out the game to get ready for the playoffs?
And that's the thing, because the team that loses the SEC championship game plays the next week in all likelihood. The team that wins will get a top 4 seed and not have to play. So you've got, like you just said, this is kind of where I thought you were going with this, the SEC championship game loser having to play the following week, while there are 2 other teams in the SEC that aren't playing in the SEC championship game that will not have to play in that game and go to the playoff. So you have 4 teams, only 2 can play in the SEC championship game, which means you're going to have 2 teams that basically have the week off, while the loser of the SEC championship game has to then play another game the following week in all likelihood. And you're talking about the same thing I thought you were going to say, Jalen Milroe.
Well, I mean, that was kind of a bad question that the guy asked me. But if you look at, but because you want to win the championship game, because that gives you almost like a bye.
It does.
But it'll be interesting. Let's use this for example. Let's say the Gators, hypothetically, are 9-1, getting ready to play Florida State.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, no,
they're pretty much if they're 9-1,
they
can't go to Atlanta. They can't go to Atlanta and they're going to be an at-large, do you play your starters against Florida State?
Well, first thing is that they wouldn't play Florida State at 9-1. They can't be. That's the 12th game, not the 11th.
Game. Okay. One game left. You're sitting at 10-1.
10-1. Oh,
yeah.
Well, at 10-1, I look at it like this: if the Gators happen to be 10-1, they're a lot.
I'm just using them as an example. Hell, let's say Georgia. Let's say Georgia's 10-1, but they're not going to make the SEC championship. Do they play their starters against Georgia Tech?
If they're not going to make the SEC championship, then I don't see the reason. But if they are going for the SEC championship, then yes. And then, of course, obviously they will in the SEC championship. But yeah, I think these teams want to be as highly seeded as possible. But I'm more concerned about the loser of this game having to go boom, 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 while the two teams that are not playing for a championship are going to have weeks off. If we're assuming that 4 SEC teams are going to the playoffs, which is a pretty safe assumption, QB. That's the whole logistical problem I have with the SEC championship game. Because really, it's almost turning like baseball. You want to win the SEC baseball tournament in Birmingham, or do you want to save your guys for that regional that you know you're going to be hosting? I mean, that's kind of that way. Football is more important. I mean, I think more people care, so that's why it's more important. But I got problems with the way it all works, the whole thing.
Yeah, Kevin says on Titan text line, he thinks the SEC championship game should be a play-in game for the playoffs. I don't agree with that because quite honestly,
we're going to have more than
quite honestly, Georgia was better than a lot of teams that got in the playoffs last year, and they lose that game, and it knocks them out. So anyway, real quick, Jason, we got to get to this day in sports, which is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Well, where'd it go? Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Let me find it here. I don't know why this damn thing disappears on my phone. In 1984, the Expos, Pete Rose, which I have no idea, I don't know why I didn't know he played for the Expos. I thought it was the Phillies and the Reds. He tied Ty Cobb's record for his 3,502nd single.
QB, is he going to be in the Hall of Fame before he dies, you think?
They need to put him in there.
Do you think they will?
I don't know.
Well, I don't think anybody knows, but I think that it's a sin that he's not in there. But I guess I understand it. I just think it sucks. I think he's got to be in there. QB, Kanye Ron wants to know what to do in Ireland if you're waiting for the Gators to play somebody. There you go. So the answer is yes, Kanye Ron. You play golf. And if you do go to Ireland and you're playing in the southern part of the country or the island, you must play 2 courses.
He wanted to know if we would ever travel to Ireland.
No. If the Gators go to Ireland, then you go.
It ain't happening. Won't happen.
Well, why isn't that happening?
We're not gonna give away a home game.
Oh, is that what's happening when you go to Ireland? You give away a home game?
Somebody's giving away a home game. I don't know who, but somebody is.
I don't know if Notre Dame gave away anything. They don't have to do what they do. Whatever
they consider that a home game for them, but yeah. I mean, the Gators play at home 7 times this year.
Check it, yeah. No, that's
pretty much every year. But
Florida's always going to have 7 home games. That's at least what they've always said.
I'm saying we only get on an airplane, I think, 3 times. Austin, Starkville, Knoxville.
And that's right. LSU's here. Yeah, you're right. QB, how about this?
Maybe one other one.
There's probably another one somewhere.
No. The other games in Jacksonville, the other games in Tallahassee.
Yeah, that's right. 3 times. You're right. Yep.
Glorious.
How about Auburn? They play their first 5 games in Auburn. Their 3rd game is their homecoming game on September 14th. Who in the living hell has homecoming in September when it's 106 degrees in Auburn, Alabama, and they're playing the Lobos for homecoming in the 3rd weekend of the season? Somebody really screwed that up. But they play their first 5 games in Auburn before they have to go to Georgia on October the 5th. Then they play 3 road games in a row. That is a weird, weird schedule. Think about this, folks. You go to Florida Field. Hell, I think going to 3 straight home games is a lot. That kind of wears on you a little bit as a fan. Imagine going to 5 straight home games. That's what Auburn fans are going to do. That's tough.
Yeah. They got a lot of road games in the back end of that. All right, JC, we got to go. We got to get to Edgar. We're just rambling. Have a good weekend, JC. Enjoy the Olympics.
All right.
That's JC joins on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We come back, we'll be joined by Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson. We'll talk a little Gator training camp, which cranks up next week. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bill.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Our gridiron sponsors, Sutter Pro Painters, Comfort Temp,
Florida Victorious,
UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45. Our touchdown sponsors are Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Nest and Wild.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
All right, team. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill gift cards. 20% off on one. Ready? Break.
Score big with the Foodie Fans during our Christmas in July special for a limited time.
Just until the end of July.
Use code GC20 to get 20% off any gift cards for Spurrier's. Good for food, drinks, and merchandise. Stop by Spurrier's in Celebration Point or go to Spurriers.com and send an e-card with a few quick clicks. Use code GC20 and get 20% off. A Spurrier's gift card will have any Gator fan cheering like it's 1996. Go to Spurriers.com right now and get your gift card today.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We're going to go back to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by the main guy to Orlando Sentinel. The hell with Bianchi. Edgar Thompson. What's up, my man?
Bianchi's on vacation, so
he's always on vacation.
The hell with him. No, he works hard.
I know he does. I like to give him a hard time. The old interlocking ram. That's Mike Bianchi.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he came from this little teeny town outside Florida. I mean, he's super talented. I was like, where'd you get? Because he knows a lot of stuff too, man. Bianchi.
Yeah.
A lot of history and things. And I'm like, who is your like grade school teacher out in Interlochen who inspired you to I guess he ended up going to Gainesville High eventually, though. I think they ended up in town.
Edgar, before we jump into it, JC read an article on The Athletic about how the Gators are so far down in the rankings and recruiting for 2025.
Yep.
You got any thoughts on that? Do you care? Do you follow it?
I'm not a huge recruitnik. You know, a lot of balls in the air. It's a full-time job really covering it. Like the guys that are really good at it are, you know, like Blake at 24/7, Alderman, Keith Niebuhr, 1-3, giving some of these guys some love. Steve Wiltfong, who's phenomenal. I mean, these guys work at it all the time. And I don't think this group over here lets a whole lot out. So it makes it even harder. But yeah, I find it more significant than my pod colleague, Mark Long, who thinks it's all just a waste of time. He's like,
that's how I feel.
Yeah, he's like you. Well, he's like you in another way. I'm going to tell you in a minute, Shane. You and Mark, man, you need to get Mark on here, not me anymore. I'm the dark cloud compared to Mark, which is like a change of roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just thinks, look, hey, show me. when you get here and show me something, and then I'll start believing it. And there are examples forever like that. I remember when I first got here, Shane, there was a guy, Derek Lee, a defensive end on the Gators, runs up. Okay, a Spurrier signed him. I think he was the #1 recruit in the country. #1, I believe. He was okay. I mean, Trey Orr, you remember him, defensive back? He was on those early teams I covered when I first got here. He was like big time. He never played. So it was like, and you got examples. Who's that guy, Bobby, whatever, the quarterback?
Bobby Saberhouse, #1 player in America.
There you go. That's the one.
Coach
Mark,
Spurrier, like, Bobby can't throw a spiral.
but so Mark brings all those guys up. But
Yeah.
it's gotten more sophisticated. It's much more of a cottage industry now, many more talented guys doing it. Like a lot of these guys could, do what I do too, but they choose recruiting. And so a lot of the information's good, but yeah, the Gators are 57th 247 sports ranking, 15th in the league.
I thought they went to like 30th after Vernell Brown Jr. signed.
Well, according to the Athletic, 57, the article JC read, I'm not looking at it. I can pull it up, but let's see, because I was surprised.
I think everybody has their own rankings. I do not follow it. I thought somebody told me that, or maybe somebody sent a text.
Let's see. Florida's well, shit. Let's see, because they do a composite as well.
Reggie says we got great people that do research for us. He says we're 30th with on 3.
Well, they're on 3. Truth be told, I notice. Well, I didn't even truth be told. I noticed that they do. They're much more Gator friendly, let's say, in their rankings. Florida's 58 247. Average player ranking of 90.5 is 10th in the SEC. I would have thought they got more juice out of Vernell Brown's commitment, personally. I mean, he's a 36th player in the nation, according to them. Number 4 or 7 in his position, 4th in the state. 4th in the state of Florida is a big-time player. And anyhow, Devontae, what's the guy's name? Devonta Smith, right? Comparisons he's drawing because of his kind of build. He's kind of lean, slight, more slight.
Yeah.
That's a big time comparison, but yes.
Yeah, for sure. Tony says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon, we just do not have many commitments, so they cannot really rank us, which is probably true as well.
And they have 10 commitments, 2 top 100 guys. One of the 247 story, 3 in the top 200, and they got work to do. But I don't know that they have as many spots to fill, and I don't know how Billy's going about it. I mean, people are approaching this thing differently. There've been a bunch of visits with guys, and some of those guys have committed to other schools. But Shane, we're talking, what is it, July 26th?
Yeah, that's why I do not worry. All I care about is what we do on August 31st moving forward. Speaking of that, Gators crank up camp next week. Is it Thursday when they hit the practice field?
I drive you crazy, don't I? Because I keep going. I just keep going. But let me just finish my thought, please.
Oh, I didn't know you had a thought.
Until you get, I always have thoughts. Until you get till December, whatever, 20th, whatever the day is, it doesn't matter. With NIL, commitment flips are like myriad. They've been going on forever, flips. Now it's nonstop flipping. It's like watching gymnastics in Paris with these guys now.
Yeah, the flipping is, you're going to see a bunch of people flip because of the NIL, because when it gets closer to signing day, School X is going to call Edgar, hey man, I know you're getting whatever from this other school, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw an extra 50 grand on top of it. Boom.
I'd love
Edgar
to get
flips to that
50.
school. So
just please send
all right,
me
Edgar.
50.
So Gators are cranking up. I guess what I mean,
Wednesday.
people are waiting to see what happens with this team, but from the new guys that they've and recruiting wise, is there one guy that you're anxious to see, or do you think can make a difference in this year's team?
Of the newcomers?
Yeah, whether they're high school kids or transfers.
I mean, Mark and I did this yesterday. We went through everything. My brain's like fried. I mean, the guy I'm super high on is Devin Moore, but he's on the team. So saw him the other day. You should, this guy, he looks like an NFL corner right now.
Him and
He is,
Jason Marshall Jr. are going to be playing on Sundays.
well, I'm higher on Devin Moore.
I know a lot of people are down on Marshall, but
I've seen a lot of Jason Marshall. Now, I'm not saying
well,
he can't be good, but I've seen a lot. I need to see him play like the guy we thought he was going to be. Devin Moore's played 12 games in 2 years, incredibly, because of injuries, right?
mhm.
And he's got more length, more speed, better tackler. He's a good tackler,
Yeah.
but he can't stay healthy. Uh, so I don't know, DK, I know they're high on. I wasn't blown away by what I saw in that spring game, but that's one little slice of something. Have you been out there much and seen much of him?
No, I haven't seen one thing. I saw a few
I'm
practices. I saw
curious
spring game.
about, he needs to impact. They need receivers. Badger, they kind of need, but I don't know if they're quite as high on him yet. We got to see, he's kind of got to learn things. I mean, he's new. DK's been here. He's assimilated into the offense. Plus, he has a relationship with Graham Mertz that ties to Wisconsin days. So they have a kind of a synergy. I mean, I think DK, I mean, he's a guy, they need another receiver or two to get in that mix, right?
Yeah. I think I saw Mike Peterson at the golf course last week, because the coaches have been off and he loves to play golf.
Good man.
I asked him about LJ McCray. He said he's a man child.
He is.
I think LJ McCray, for all the high publicity of him coming to the Gators, highly rated, just his skill set, I think he's got to be an impact player immediately. And I think he can. I think he's a guy that can change games. And he's the one guy that I'm focusing on, that I'm gonna say he's gonna be the guy that's gonna make a huge difference on our defense.
Okay, I like that, and he came up yesterday. What I said about him, I was in his state title game in Tallahassee, right, against St. Augustine. Mainland won its first title, I think, since '02, and this kid led the way. He was a man among boys in that game, but the thing that struck me was like, his upper body wasn't all that developed, right? But it's gotten more. I mean, he looks already a lot bigger. I'm looking forward to seeing him again because he's probably made another step since I saw him in the spring, right? But you could already, his lower body, the foundation of this kid, wide, powerful. I mean, he's going to be hard to move already as a freshman. And he had really quick hands. Now he's going against kids, high school kids who are never going to play anywhere. We'll see if he can get his hands on these SEC blockers because he's going to be going against grown men in there. But yeah, I like him. I'll tell you a guy who's been creating some buzz that I'm really surprised he has. I'm looking at the roster here. Is this George Gums Jr.? And they really need some guys off the edge, man. Their pass rush last year was woeful. 22 sacks, fewest since that bad 13, the 2013 team. They didn't get after the passer at all, which led to a lot of breakdowns in the secondary. I mean, last year, Shane, they gave up 25 40-yard pass plays. Only UNLV gave up more in the entire nation. You're leaving those DBs hanging out to dry when you're getting no rush. And they got no interceptions, 3 interceptions. It just didn't work, man. So they need to get after the quarterback. And TJ Saracen and Gums are two guys that need to.
Yeah, I like those guys as well. JB says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mello, true freshman DL, that's a lot to ask to make an impact as a freshman. Yeah, but as long as you do your job, you're in the right gap, whatever defense is called, and you have athleticism that you can get after an offensive tackle with your athleticism, I don't think it's asking a whole lot, quite honestly. Boy, we had a couple of questions here somebody wanted to ask. Andy says, Edgar, does Dez Watson see the field this year? Is his popularity among teammates keeping him on the team?
I don't know that the latter point is true. I think they see potential in this guy, but I have to give you a nod. 2 years ago, I was on the Dez train hard, if you remember. I've been coming on your show for a while now, and you were shooting that down. You were like, come on, man. I was like, he's, thinking that he was like this immovable object.
No,
He has no lateral quickness. People can just run around him.
He's a good kid, and he
He's
does
a
everything
sweetheart.
right. The teams the players like him, and in today's world, you don't want to take kids' scholarships away just to take them away. It's a dirty business. It's become really dirty, but he'll probably have some role. Mostly goal line would be my when I would like him in there, just goal line situations. Okay, I got to ask you, Mark Long, is he optimistic? You said he's like me now. Is he optimistic about the Gators or
Yeah,
no?
but the last point on Dez, apparently he's lost a lot of weight, but it's still like he's still carrying way too much. The guy that I'm more concerned about on that interior D line, or not concerned, but more needing to see the level of commitment, because you're saying, and I'm not like jumping you, but you're saying he's doing everything right, Des. Well, he's really not, because he can't get his weight down, right? And that's what happened. I mean, these guys are massive dudes. I mean, they eat more in a day than I'm eating in a week, some of these guys, just to keep the fuel going. And I get it. But, the snacking and all that. Cam Jackson, man, he needs to be in shape and be impactful this year. And he wasn't last year. He got out of shape last year and did not have nearly the impact I was expecting from him, because I think he's got skills to play at the next level and quickness and things, don't you? I mean, he's got size, he's got a lot, and he just got out of shape. And I don't know what he's going to be like this camp.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to what I've been saying for the last 3 or 4 years. For us to have a good year, a fun year, the front seven on defense has got to play like an SEC front, just kind of like an SEC front seven, which they have not. And they do have a lot of bodies on that front four, whether they're rush guys, big run stoppers, what have you, that they can rotate. I think they have some depth there. I think we've added some good linebackers. I think Pup Howard's going to make a big difference. But the key to the Gators in 2024, front seven on defense, in my opinion. All right, I got to hear what Mark had to say.
Well, I'm a huge Kelby Collins guy, so we'll see what he does inside.
He's a good player.
That's the guy I've been high on for a while. Mark Long is saying 8-4. He thinks
I don't disagree with him.
Well, I know you don't. You said 8-4 a bunch, but I was surprised that Mark thinks that, because Mark tends to be a little more.
He's very negative.
Well, he's very skeptical. I wouldn't say negative.
Right.
There's a
No, I hear you.
He's not just being a jerk. He's just, okay, prove it.
He's giving his opinion, which we all do, right?
And this is the reason. And this is why Billy really, I want to say, it sounds harsh, but there are no more excuses. That's kind of a harsh way to say it, but there really aren't now, based on what Billy's saying. The systems are in place. The staff he likes. It's cohesive, unlike maybe last year's and the year before, which was all like, they were drinking water from a fire hose in year one, let's be fair. But last year there was not cohesiveness, particularly in the defensive side. Joe Houston's in, you get the analyst out on the field. He feels the strength and nutrition program have really elevated things. They're going to make a huge difference. I mean, when you see the players, the little bit you run into them and see them, they just look different. They're going to look different again from spring to now. And all these things are in place, and he thinks he has the quarterback to do it because he loves Graham Mertz. He thinks he's one of the best in the nation, which is a bold statement. Someone yesterday's Mark, I think yesterday we were talking about all SEC. They do 3 teams at preseason. The media poll put him 12th last week, right? I did your show, I think, last Friday, and they landed 12th. I thought that was a little low. I had him 10th, but I had him behind A&M one spot. They could be in front of A&M. And I had him one spot behind A&M and one spot ahead of Kentucky. They were behind both in the media poll. Graham Mertz didn't get any consideration. I don't know that he's a top 3 SEC quarterback, but I think Billy believes that. And so, yeah, he thinks he's got the team, and Mark he's drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm sipping it gently, as I say.
Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold flavored smoothies, our amazing food, tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. A few more minutes with Edgar. JB says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, I'm afraid we're going to miss Ricky P a bunch this year. Hopefully the transfer receivers. Look, in my opinion, I've said it for the last 2 years, Ricky Pearsall is a top 10 receiver to ever play here. Yes, we're going to miss him. When you lose great players, I don't know if you can actually replace them, but hopefully we can. Text here. This is from Frank on the Titan our text line. Billy has to improve as a game day coach to go 8-4. I agree with that. I think his staff changes will help him. Not everything is on the head coach. I've said this multiple times. The head coach has the final decision. He's in charge of everything, but everybody has a role during game day. And I feel like a lot of the guys, I don't know if they're still here or he got rid of them, failed doing their responsibility that caused a lot of those issues. So,
well, that was
time will
Frank.
tell.
Frank. That was Frank.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I can say is preach. That's where I am.
Yeah.
It's where I've said it on here. I've written it. I've said on the pod. I say it everywhere I go. This is the year we're going to find out if Billy's an SEC caliber head coach. Because I
agree.
I don't, based on year 1 and 2, no. So he gets a chance to prove that this year with all the systems in place and the roster in place. And I believe he can do it. I'm not saying he can't. I mean, I believe he can, but we got to see it, man.
No, I agree. I agree.
Way too many mistakes, mismanagements, chaos, ill-timed, play calls. I know you keep wanting back in the play calling, man, and we're not going to go down that road. We don't have time, but there's too many of these where it just is a square peg round hole thing. So we'll see, man.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell. I do think a lot of the game management I think he really made some changes that will help. Play calling, if they work, people love them. If they don't work, I'll argue with anybody over that.
I know
you can go back to the 12 years and watch Coach Spurrier's play call. And there were times he called plays that didn't work, but we won games, and somebody just kind of threw it under the rug. That's
good
part
point.
of being.
No, that's a great point. When you win,
it's like nobody cares. So it's huge, 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 huge. There was one last thing I wanted to get to before we got out of here. Let me see if it comes to me.
British Open. I mentioned DK to the point of the other listener whose name eludes me, but the Pearsall question.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I mentioned DK. They got to have a guy step up there because Pearsall was just so good. I'm not saying he's going to be Ricky Pearsall, but you need a guy who's going to bring some production because Trey Wilson's taken another step this year. Trey Wilson is going to be a SEC star by the end of this season if he stays healthy, and what he does what everyone expects him to do.
Yeah, for sure. One more time, what day do they practice? I should know this. Thursday?
Wednesday. They open Wednesday.
Wednesday. All right, should be a lot of fun.
What was your question?
I can't remember, but Kanye
how great the British Open was.
Yeah, well, it was. We'll have to talk golf another time. We're out of time already. Kanye Ron, though, says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum. I believe the one thing Shane admired Napier was Napier's run blocking scheme. Yeah, between him and Rob Sale, they scheme up some runs now. But if I'm a huge 11 personnel guy, which if people don't know what 11 personnel is, that's 3 wide receivers and a tight end. That's my favorite formation. But there are times when I would love to put 4 wides out there and go play and let our quarterback run the offense because I think he's good enough to do that. We saw it in the 2-minute drive against Arkansas. Let him go. I don't know if we'll ever do that, but that's what my hope is this year. Edgar, you got anything before we get out of here?
Yep. Last year at SEC Media Days, I talked to Jordan Rogers, the SEC Network analyst, brother Aaron, and he said the run game concepts of Billy Napier and Rob Sale are excellent. He does not like the pass, did not think the passing game concepts were sophisticated enough at this level. He also questioned Graham Mertz's ability to reduce turnovers, which he did last year. So yes, we'll see this year a lot and when it comes to the passing game. And if he can stretch the field, David Whitley had a stat the other day in his column about Graham Mertz. Of his 68 throws or whatever it was, 39 went beyond 20 yards. He completed 16 of them. Not enough.
You got to call them. You can't, when you throw the ball deep, it's a low percentage throw. So you have to throw more. Like I said, if you throw 8 deep balls, regardless of the concept, and you hit 2 or 3 of them, that's a damn good day. It's a very good day, but you have to attempt them, and we don't attempt them enough. Hopefully we will this year. Edgar, good stuff as always. We'll get you on next week, my friend. Have a great weekend.
All right, man. Thanks for having me, Shane.
That's Edgar Thompson. Does a great job with the Orlando Sentinel, and we appreciate him taking the time. Have a great weekend, folks, and we will see you on Monday. Take care.